The world froze as breaking news flashed. US and Chinese warships in a tense standoff near the Spratly Islands. August 31, 2025. Two gray fleets just miles apart faced off in the contested South China Sea. This was no drill, this was the razor's edge of superpower conflict. Trillions in trade, international law and national pride hung in the balance. The Pentagon confirmed the USS Gerald R. Ford carrier strike group was on a freedom of navigation mission. China's Ministry of Defense called the US presence a provocation, vowing to defend its sovereignty. Markets tumbled, diplomats scrambled. The White House Situation Room buzzed through the night. The world waited, breath held, for what would happen next. Reports described extreme tension, a US P-8 Poseidon buzzed by a Chinese J-16 fighter, ships maneuvering with aggressive precision. The American carrier was shadowed by Chinese destroyers and frigates, each side testing the other's resolve. Every radio transmission, every radar sweep was a silent threat. The region was on edge. Manila, Taipei, Tokyo, all echoed the same anxiety. The Philippines raised coastal defenses. Japan called an emergency security meeting. This was more than a US-China confrontation. The entire Indo-Pacific was pulled into the vortex. US carriers signaled deterrence and reassurance to allies. China sent its own message. It would not back down in its own backyard. The world watched, knowing a single spark could ignite a war that would reshape the century. The powder keg was set. Sparks were already flying. The South China Sea simmered with tension, the heat and humidity nothing compared to the pressure on deck. The USS Gerald R. Ford, flanked by its escorts, cut through the water, a floating city of American power. Across the horizon, China's carrier Shandong and its modern warships mirrored the US formation. Two of the world's most powerful navies, locked in a dangerous ballet. For the sailors, every routine was suspended, every action was watched. Chinese surveillance ships loitered nearby, satellites overhead, submarines suspected below. This was a 360-degree standoff, surface, air, and undersea. The calm sea hid a storm of activity. At stake, the future of maritime law and freedom of navigation. The US was there to uphold open waters, China to assert dominance. For the crew, this was no abstraction. It was their mission, their burden. Every sailor embodied their nation's commitment to allies and order. The responsibility was immense. Their actions could preserve peace or trigger catastrophe. The world's eyes were on them. The front line of a new global competition was drawn. The atmosphere was electric with the possibility of conflict. Deep inside the USS Princeton, the Combat Information Center, CIC, buzzed with quiet intensity. Sailors sat before glowing screens tracking a web of ships, aircraft, and threats. Green icons for friends, yellow for unknowns, red for hostiles. Today, the screens were crowded. A young operations specialist reported, "New contact, Luoyang 3 class destroyer closing fast." The tactical action officer absorbed the data, updating the tactical picture in real time. Every crew member was a vital link in a chain where seconds could mean survival. Radar, sonar, satellite feeds, encrypted comms, all poured into this single room. The team filtered torrents of data, distinguishing real threats from noise. They recognized missile radar signatures, submarine acoustics, fighter flight patterns. It was a mental marathon requiring relentless focus. Across the sea, Chinese CICs did the same, watching, calculating, dueling in wits and technology. The American crew anticipated moves, prepared to react instantly. Calm wasn't complacency, it was the product of relentless training. The CIC was the ship's brain, its nerve center, and its shield. The digital battle was constant, the stakes existential. In this room, the difference between peace and disaster was measured in heartbeats. On the bridge, sunlight streamed through armored glass as Captain Eva Rostova scanned the horizon. Her crew relied on routine, watch rotations, maintenance, drills to steady their nerves. Every action, from inspecting fire hoses to preparing meals, was a quiet act of defiance against the pressure. Below, an electronics warfare technician detected a new radar signal, possibly a Chinese missile system. Was it a test, a warning, or the prelude to attack? The crew had seconds to assess. Every signal was treated as a potential threat. Trust bound the team, the captain, the TO, the helmsman, every sailor. They were not robots, they were people, united by duty and resolve. In the face of danger, they became a single, unbreakable unit. The standoff escalated as the Chinese destroyer CNS Jian broke formation, cutting across the bow of the USS Princeton. It was a deliberate act of intimidation, daring the Americans to yield. On the bridge, Captain Rostova watched, unflinching. The officer of the deck recommended a course change to avoid collision. Rostova held her ground. "Maintain course and speed. Sound 5 short blasts." The piercing whistle echoed, the international signal of doubt and warning. The responsibility for avoiding collision now lay with the Chinese. For agonizing seconds, the Xi'an closed in, the gap shrinking to a few hundred yards. Tension gripped the crew. At the last moment, the Xi'an veered away, passing astern. Relief swept the Princeton. They had not flinched. Rostova allowed herself a brief nod. This was more than a near miss. It was a psychological victory. The US de-escalated with professionalism, exposing the other side's recklessness. Seamanship and cool-headed strategy prevailed. The message was clear. The US Navy would not be bullied. The world saw ships and hardware, but the US Navy's true edge was its people and training. Every sailor had drilled for this scenario: combat, damage control, emergencies. Training built muscle memory, confidence, and trust. The CIC bridge and engine room operated as one. Decentralized execution empowered every crew member to act without hesitation. When the Chinese destroyer made its move, the crew responded with calm professionalism. Mistakes didn't cascade, discipline held. Chief petty officers mentored, enforced standards, and passed down hard-won lessons. In a standoff where nerves mattered as much as missiles, this human factor was the ultimate weapon. The Gerald R. Ford Strike Group was more than ships. It was a networked combat system. Cooperative engagement capability let every ship and aircraft share sensor data in real time. The Princeton could see threats far beyond its own radar, thanks to the E-2D Hawkeye overhead. This information dominance turned chaos into a tactical advantage. The Aegis combat system tracked over 100 targets, launching interceptors in seconds. Every system, from missiles to CIWs, formed a layered shield. The network meant no ship fought alone. Every threat was seen, every move anticipated. The US Navy's edge wasn't just technology, it was the power of a connected team. The standoff escalated again. 2 Chinese J-16 fighters, armed and aggressive, sped toward the Princeton. In the CIC, icons turned red, direct threat. Simultaneously, a US Seahawk helicopter detected a Chinese submarine lurking below. The sub, a Type 093B, tried to mask its approach amid the surface ships. Now, the crisis was three-dimensional: surface, air, and undersea. The US response was immediate. 2 FA-18 Super Hornets launched from the Ford, intercepting the J-16S. The Princeton set anti-submarine warfare condition 1, spinning up countermeasures. Sonar pinged the depths, decoys readied. The message: "We know you're there, we're ready." The hunter became the hunted. With threats converging, the risk of miscalculation peaked. The Super Hornets positioned defensively. The helicopter tracked the sub, ready to strike. The entire strike group was on full alert. The dance had stopped. The world watched, waiting to see if the shooting would start. The moment of maximum danger had arrived. Captain Rostova chose psychological warfare over direct confrontation. EA-18 Growlers subtly intruded on Chinese comms, unsettling their crews. F/A-18S intercepted the J-16S, locking targeting lasers. Warning lights blared in Chinese cockpits. The message: "You're tracked, you could be destroyed at any moment." The Princeton blasted focused sonar pulses at the submarine, a deafening, disorienting warning. The message was clear: "We hear you, we can touch you, leave now." The effect was immediate. The J-16S broke off, returning to their carrier. The submarine retreated, its position compromised. The Chinese commander, his assets neutralized, had no good options. After a tense delay, the Chinese fleet turned away. The standoff ended. No shots fired, but the message was unmistakable. In the silent waters of the South China Sea, American dominance was clear.